I remember graduating college. I went to school down in Florida, University of Miami, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I ended up going back to DC, where I grew up with my mom, and ended up getting a job downtown, working with a think tank. At the time, I was very gung-ho about the war in Iraq. I would describe myself as a neocon, and I worked for a think tank in DC that had that type of philosophy and worldview. I was struggling to get a job though. It was an unpaid internship, and I was told I needed three things. I needed to speak a language, I needed to have some type of experience, or some type of advanced degree. I didn't have any of that. So I started looking at options. And I was a big advocate for the war, and I wanted to, follow through on that. So I tried to go the officer route, OCS, go to the recruiter's office, get prepped, do all the exams and things. And I go before this board, and I don't know, I probably didn't take it serious enough. And I showed up, I wasn't, straight edged looking, probably didn't wear the best clothes, and I don't think I answered the questions the right way. But it worked out. I got rejected, and I had to reevaluate. I had to reconsider, what do I really want to do here? And the more I thought about it, I really did want to serve. And I found this opportunity at the time. You could enlist directly into the military for a job. It's called PSYOP, Psychological Operations. And what was really fascinating about that job is you're dealing with, they called it hearts and minds at the time. And in reality, it's propaganda and persuasion and influence. And there's different types of it. But the benefits, you learn a language, you get a security clearance, and you're part of special operations. So it sounds pretty cool. The risk is if you don't qualify, let's say you fail out of airborne school, even if you get hurt, you need to the Army. So it's that, or you're a truck driver driving in Iraq getting blown up. So I took the gamble and signed the papers and ended up going through basic AIT, airborne school, language school. I got to learn Farsi, loved that language, and I made it. I got through. That was a big, big difference because I was an enlisted soldier, I wasn't an officer. I really liked the guys I was around. It was people from all different backgrounds, different experiences. Reminded me just of my buddies growing up in the DC area. It was fun. There's a special camaraderie that goes with that. Get to my unit at Fort Bragg, and everybody just wants to deploy. The number one thing is, let's just go, let's go, let's go. So I got an opportunity to get called into the office from my first sergeant, and he goes, okay, we got an opening with the team over in Pakistan. It wasn't commonly talked about that we have people over there in Pakistan, but he said, this is a opportunity that a lot of guys would die for. They really, really would love to have this chance. You're with a mixed group. You got Special Forces, you got Navy SEALs guys, you got Air Force Intelligence, Civil Affairs, PSYOP, and really not much support. So I was really, really excited, and said, yeah, let's do it. It's an unconventional deployment. When I went over to Pakistan, I went business class. That's wild. Wearing civilian clothes on a regular airplane, just me. And I remember being told, all right, when you land, someone's gonna get you. Don't worry what they look like. Don't ask any questions. That's all you need to know. I was a little bit nervous about that because I had a weapon with me and I'm going through security. But someone pulled me out of the line and walks me past. And then I get outside of the airport, and this dude who looks like fucking Osama bin Laden comes running up to me. He goes, get in. And I'm like, oh shit. But I get in. Then he kind of takes off the act. And it's just another operator guy, he's an American. And he's like, all right, we're gonna go to the house. So, to start out, I'm in a house in Islamabad. Islamabad was nice. Reminded me of DC, a lot of diplomats, embassies, things like that. At the same time, it's weird when you're driving through a city and you're regularly going past checkpoints and there's people with AK-47s just pointing at you, and you're in a up-armored civilian-looking vehicle. But the houses in Islamabad were essentially mansions. You had a cook, bunch of knuckleheads that you're living with in a big oversized house that's supposed to be for a diplomat. I was there for about 3 weeks just to get oriented, set up with the embassy, not wearing any military uniform, wearing civilian clothes. And then things changed. In Pakistan, start off in Islamabad and get asked to go up to an even smaller team, and it's called Peshawar, and it's right on the border of Afghanistan. And the job was training militia, local militia guys. I liked it because they got knuckleheads over there too, and I'm one, so I'm with my people. And it's just a bunch of enlisted guys, and I'm teaching them how to do psychological operations, and other guys are doing other programs that probably shouldn't talk about. I'm with 2 dudes in the house in Pesh, and that was real tough. You're getting shot at almost every day, driving through the city, changing the paint of your vehicle, changing your routes. There's bombs going off every day. That was tough. But at the same time, you really get to know a lot about humanity, about people, life, and worldviews. Yeah, you really have to study people. And when you study someone who wants to kill you, it changes the way you think. It changes how you approach problem solving. So I learned so much from those guys, and I got to do really interesting programs with them together. For example, we had radio programs that we did. We had TV shows that we made. We'd go out and do the typical meet and greet stuff, talk to leaders, tribal leaders. It was interesting going with these guys that like, all right, we got this meeting, real important figure. Like, what are we meeting? It's like, the good Taliban. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't make me feel better, sir. But they have different ideas of who good Taliban is and bad Taliban. The point being, there's nuance there. And you know, when you paint with a broad stroke, any type of issue or problem, and you leave out that nuance, you're going to make bad assumptions. I'm not saying that guy was good Taliban or not, but it was more nuanced than that. One of the cool things we got to do, really made me feel good, is we were building schools for these little girls throughout northern Pakistan. There was a couple schools, Northwest Frontier Province, I think it's called Khyber Pakhtunkhwa right now. But Lower Deer, Timagara is a little town there. And I was supposed to go on that mission. And it was just a mission to, you know, check up on the school and see how things were going, in addition to helping build the school. And I remember I was in the ops center, which is in a house in Pesh, listening to the radio. Man, and you hear over that radio, IED. Well, actually it was a VBID. It had targeted my buddies. And 3 of them were killed. Mark, Matthew, Dave, and 2 were really hurt. And it was really hard because I wasn't there. And I miss them. There's a sense of helplessness, right? You're sitting in an ops center, you can't do anything. You're in a country that doesn't particularly want you there in the first place. And the mission goes on. That's the crazy thing. You don't get a break. It goes on. And I remember going to the funeral. It was Colonel Sontag at the time. I think he's even higher up. Maybe he got out. And he gave a talk at the embassy. And says, you guys, you can mourn today, but we're back at it tomorrow. We're not going to back down. We're going to continue to fight. And I was a bit pissed at him for that. I didn't understand, but he was right. You don't back down, you continue to fight. And that's what we did. So my team, the first team I deployed with, ended up coming home. But I didn't want to come home. I didn't know how to come home. So I kept asking to stay. So I was on my second team, and eventually they go, all right, you got to go back. You got to take a break. So I went back, Fort Bragg, for about 3 weeks, and I walk into my first sergeant's office, and I go, all right, I got to get out of here. I got to go. 1 month later, back on a plane, end up going this time to Afghanistan, to Kabul. Bit of a different mission, still on a small team, but it's not training foreign militia. More working closely with the embassy. It was weird because there's tons of Americans there. So I felt a bit safer in Afghanistan. Again, living in the city. So I'm in Wazir Akbar Khan. It's a neighborhood right outside the embassy. I speak Persian, and they speak Dari in Kabul. And I loved that because I would get to walk through the neighborhood on my way to work. There was an office at the embassy there. And I get to know the guys. And man, those people were friendly. I swear, it would take me an hour and a half to walk maybe 3 blocks because I'm having tea with everybody. But to be able to speak someone's language and hear their perspective was fascinating. And they wanted to know about you. These are guys that had backgrounds nothing like mine, nothing. But we still found things in common. We still laughed a lot. That was the common theme. Everyone was laughing. We had a good time. But again, it just reinforced how important it is to listen to people's stories. Because here you're talking to a guy, you think, oh, he must had somewhat of a poor upbringing. It's like, no, this guy was a doctor. Now he can't get a job. And he's pulling security outside of his house in a little hut. And he's given 1 bullet. It's like, okay, well, tell me about that. How'd that happen? And then you realize how much they know about history. I guess I really, I learned that I don't care what your background is. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care what your grades were. There's something else. There's something else that matters to make you a good person, and it's not that. I also learned some humility because I went in there thinking I was a smart dude, and yeah, I don't know much, but that's a lesson in itself. Again, I was addicted though. I was addicted to that environment, and team 1 goes home again. I go, well, I want to stay. Now I'm on my 4th team. We're going on around 2 years now when I really haven't been home. But my time's coming up. And at that point, my PTSD is getting kind of bad. The thing about PTSD is it doesn't seem to manifest right away. But as you get further and further from certain things or closer to the end, you start to notice it. I was going to go to Tajikistan. I was accepted to a program outside the Army, and I didn't know how to come home. So I was technically, I was on my flight back. Again, I think I flew through Qatar and that program to Tajikistan, where I was going to really learn more about Persian with the goal of joining the agency, the CIA. It was canceled on my flight home, so now I got no plans, and I got 2 months till I'm out, and the PTSD is starting to flare up, and I don't know what to do. So I find a school, grad school in downtown DC called Institute of World Politics. Probably not the best for what I was, I guess, avoiding still, which was the PTSD issue. But I learned political warfare, more about psychological operations, and I still wanted to fight. I still wanted to fight. But at some point, I started to become increasingly disillusioned with my own worldview, and my mind starts to change. I start to hate war. And I start to wonder about my own country's history. So all those things I was studying in other people, you start to study in yourself. I no longer support that war. I think that war was a mistake. I don't know how many wars I do support, but I know there's one war, one battle that I really, really care about. And that's just that fight for your brothers. And that's part of why I talk about this. Is because it's hard, but it's the least I can do. Maybe someone out there hears this and something resonates and it helps me. So maybe that's selfish on my part, but I think it's important. So I'm not doing very well in DC at the State Department. And when people ask, well, why'd you become a lawyer? To be honest, I didn't want to work for the government anymore. I also needed medical cannabis. There was one state at the time that had it, and I happened to have family that lived there, Colorado. All right, so maybe I can be a lawyer. I get to help people. I get to work for family. Get to have some medicine. Maybe helps. And get out of this government thing. That's why I became a lawyer. And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And I didn't know what it meant to be a lawyer. But at DU, I did have the opportunity to work with the Veterans Advocacy Clinic. Really, really great program that helps guys with the discharge upgrades. People get benefits for disabilities, things that they should get that every administration's really just failed to do. So I'm really proud of that. But as a personal injury attorney, get an ambulance chaser, you're just a greedy money guy. Nah, you got it wrong, man. I could help hurt people. And I really do enjoy that. And it's really hard every day. You're hearing about accidents, real bad ones. And that's really big for that person. That's a terrible thing that just happened to that person. They're hurt. Then they're dealing with an insurance company denying them care. That's jacked up. So I get to fight. I get to fight every day. Not for $1. Yeah, I like to make money, sure. But I get to fight for my client. And that's no ambulance chaser. And here's another thing. I get to do it in Colorado Springs. I get to do that in a place where I'm just surrounded by veterans. We work downtown, and I got by these guys on the street. And I get to say hi to them every day. Everyone else just walks by. I get to say hi to those guys. Or, they go, hey, I saw you on TV. It was nice to meet you. And I start, what's your name? Are you getting help? Just point them in the right direction. And they're everywhere in the Springs. So I really like that I'm in that area. So yeah, when people ask why I became an attorney, that's why.